We did it. We finished parts 4 and 5 of Rhythm of War. That was a freaking incredible book.
It's done.
I love that. Love the series. Cannot wait. We are getting to read Wind and Truth this week. Officially pre-aired.
It's happening. This week is Dragonsteel. You're seeing this video before the convention happens, and we are beyond pumped to be there for the Wind and Truth launch. Everything that's coming along with it. It's going to be an absolute blast for 3 straight days. I think they're like 13 hours of programming every day.
Yeah,
so
huge. But before we get to that programming, we've got to go through this book. How did this book wrap up before the final release of Book 5?
Let's talk about it.
This set of the first 5 books that came out.
It's time.
It's time. Jaden, I was completely blown away by this book. I loved it. I cannot wait to get into the Sanderlanch of everything and all the exciting parts. I felt like this Sanderlanch here, and I know you disagree with me on this because you mentioned it, I think this is one of the best Sanderlanches he has had yet. I felt like everything came together so well with every single part at the same time. Every single part that they jump from, I'm like, you want to know the next part. You got to know what's happening.
Yeah.
It is just so intense, so good, so emotional.
It was very emotional. And it's a Sanderlanch that I remember loving for sure. I think the difference for me, this is a switch that I had happen during this reread, is that now I'm reading Rhythm of War in preparation for Wind and Truth. And that actually made a big difference for me because I was paying more attention to like what's coming next. We're watching this literally unfold this week. Like we're gonna have Wind and Truth in our hands in like a day. It's crazy how soon that's gonna happen. So now I'm reading with these little pieces of what's next. What's that next step gonna be like? I almost want to do like mini theorizing, talking about what might happen. So I'm thinking more about that than considering this to be a complete finished book. When I first read 1 through 4, I didn't know 5 was coming out.
Yep.
I thought this was the end of like the series, the end of everything. So I was expecting.
You thought this was a conclusion?
I was expecting more of a conclusion last time for sure.
When
I read this for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I finished it.
Okay,
for
cool.
sure.
I'm like, you finished it and thought that was a conclusion?
I knew at that point for sure. But I do think that it was a different mindset for me reading it this time versus that time because of Wind and Truth and because it's coming out so soon. So that was, I think, the difference. I didn't see it as much of a Sanderlanch because I was paying more attention to what's going to happen next and what to expect in the beginning of the next book. That's my verdict on Sanderlanch.
Well, it's so interesting. I think this is the biggest cliffhangers that we've been left on.
Oh, absolutely.
Like as I was reading through this again, I'm like, holy cow, there's a ton of hanging questions here.
Yeah,
like,
especially the very, very end. I don't want to start with the very, very end, but we will get there.
We will get
Watch
there.
to the end of the video.
Lots and lots to get there. So I want to start with, though, so these are parts 4 and 5 again.
Yep.
Once you get to these parts, you know it's going to be good when Bridge 4 is announced as a character. It's going to be when it says Bridge 4, the Knights Radiant. You're like, oh man, stuff's about to get real. I love that when they read through all the characters that are going to happen.
I don't even get that because I don't read it. I feel like I'm missing portions of the.
It says it.
I know
in the audio. Like,
does it?
In the audio.
Does it read everyone off? Maybe I just like
does.
totally blank out when that happens.
Anyways, it's there. Yeah.
No, I get it.
Like part 4, Adolin, Shallan, Navani, Venli, Eshonai, Bridge 4. And it's like,
yeah.
As soon as I heard that in the audiobook, I was like, oh man, like this is it. Like we're getting going.
I really loved the Navani Raboniel relationship.
You want to start there?
I think we should start there.
Let's start it. I love that as well.
It's just so cool. We talked a lot about the harmonization, like all the Rhythm of War. We talked a lot about that in the last episode. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. So we'll skip kind of to the tail end of that conversation and talk more about like the almost betrayal. Like you knew this was coming, but it still hits you when you're like, okay, thanks, all these great, amazing breakthroughs, the Eurekas, everything happened, and now it's like, and I mean, now you're basically going to be executed. Like that's the end. Like we're still going to take all this information and destroy the Radiance with it. Like it's such a gut wrenching moment because you're there for every breakthrough, for everything she tried, for everything that failed. Like you feel like you're a part of the scientific discovery, and then you're like, oh my goodness, like they're going to kill all of the Radiance and destroy all of their spren based on this discovery. I was like, oh man. and she has no way to stop it in that instant because she doesn't have the resources. She's still a prisoner.
It's that moment of despair. Sanderson,
He's
I
good
will
at
say
it.
over
He's
and over
good
again,
at it.
that is one of his best qualities of writing books is he knows how to put you in awful despair, but then find a very reasonable way to pull you out of it, which is the best. I want to mention with Raboniel and Navani too is their relationship is awesome, and it's cool to see the respect that Raboniel has for Navani, and saying like she really does respect Navani's discoveries, and saying like, I respect this so much you don't even have to call me by a title anymore.
Yeah, and she doesn't get pushed over either, because you think there's a lot of plot conveniences that happen all across literature.
Yeah.
And one of those would have been like, oh, she gets away with everything. But every time Raboniel walks in, she's like, the first thing she went to was the plate that she was trying to hide. She's like, underneath the pile or everything, she's like, went straight for it. Like that little thing happened every single time. Like she knew where the book was. She asked for the book. Like, you can't take that. You can't have this.
Sanderson does not give the easy wins to the
she
good
pops
guys.
in immediately. She's like, so what are you asking about the dagger for? So all those things, it was fun because it felt more like a challenge she had to go through.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And the whole idea of like two scholars discovering things, kind of using a shadow of real physics, which is kind of cool. And like
some natural law, for sure. I wonder what did you think about the fact that she doesn't consider herself a scholar? Because they touched on that a lot.
Yeah.
In this process,
I think that's such a cool idea to bring up, because I bet there's a lot of people who feel that way. It's the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not this until I've got this or that. But honestly, the farther I get into life, the more I realize that everyone's winging it.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
Nobody knows what they're doing. The CEO, the president, your parents,
No, that's the funny one with parenthood.
Boss,
you're like, nobody has any idea what's going on.
Nobody knows what's going on. Yeah, and so that's kind of what I feel like with Navani. She's like, oh, I'm not a scholar because I haven't done all the studying and everything. But the thing that makes you a scholar is the drive to answer questions and to relentlessly search for answers.
So I had a slightly different take. I totally agree with the imposter syndrome element. I would agree that she's not a scholar.
Yeah.
Because I think she is just a deep scientist. And I think those can be different things.
Okay.
Because a scientist is someone who's breaking boundaries and discovering new things. And a scholar is someone who's studying and learning from the past. Both of those people can discover things. Shallan is a great example. She's a fantastic scholar and she makes discoveries by learning about patterns from the past. Totally legit. But I do think Navani specifically is much more a scientist than a scholar, because she's like, I don't know, let's try it. Like, I don't know what would happen. I don't have the books to tell me what might happen. Maybe the book exists, but she doesn't really care. She's just going to try it. Let's just try doing this and figure out if this works. Let me try singing it. All those different things. She's not relying on a decade of having read every book on the subject. She's just there getting in and trying it and trying to make it happen. So I think that's kind of cool. It's almost, they don't mention the scientist element.
Yeah.
But that was kind of where I took it, like, oh, I'm not a scholar. Maybe she isn't, because she just doesn't rely on past knowledge and books and study.
She's more of an engineer.
I would say scientist.
Really?
More than engineer, yeah.
Interesting.
I consider those different personally.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say engineer is more what you're describing, though. Someone who's just going through and just trying to fix problems. And
I'm not saying fix problems. I'm saying make discoveries. Like specifically say, I'm trying to discover what she was doing.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So trying to mix things in different ways to create new novel outcomes that can solve problems, but a little bit more ingenuity and just novelty, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. I think that's a good thoughts there.
There you go. So I agree that she is not a scholar. That's my hot take on the Navani subject.
Yeah. What did you think about Raboniel killing her own daughter?
It was a twist for me, for sure. But I do think it was interesting because it makes the enemy, right? The Fuse, they're bad. They're coming from Braze and ruining everything. It makes them more like, we don't really want to be here that much either. We're not loving this constant coming back and things. Eventually you come back so many times. And I think right at the very end, stealing a quote from literally the end of the book, where she's just like, you surprised me and you would be surprised how much that means to me. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I guess spoiler for the end. Then obviously the whole thing's a spoiler, but you killed me, but you surprised me. This is the first time in so many thousands of years. I've seen everything and you surprised me. That's cool. And she's almost like, I respect that so much that I'm okay with the fact that you killed me.
Yep.
I think that was interesting. It's like their state of mind is more realistic than you would have expected as a fuse. They're just like, we're so old, we're ingrained in what we do, nothing new. Like, we don't really care about what's going on in the world. We're just here to take over and run the cycle again. It's just, this is what we do every time.
Yeah. Well, I like that too, because it shows that immortals have weaknesses, and Sanderson really pushes on that, right? And he says, like, because you'd naturally think someone who's lived forever should have all the experience because they've seen everything. They'll never be beaten. But they kind of imply that, well, there are some things that they've still never seen before, or they're still unexpected to them, just because of the nature of how like life works. Like things that even if you know all the possibilities, something can surprise you. But the other thing is that they still forget things. Like she forgot about the knife in the room and everything. And it's just, and she wonders like, maybe it's because she's so tired from having come back so many times and just getting laxed on random things.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just like a confident complacency. Well, I think I almost tie it more to the pursuer as well. And like, they've come back so many times. They're just so confident. They're like, we do this every time. We take over every time. Desolation every time. Like, it's going to happen. We're the strongest. We're the best. It's no big deal. Like, they're just so confident that they just don't see a lot of their weaknesses. Odium maybe is a good example too.
Same thing with Odium.
He's like, he's just so confident. He's like, I know everything. I've been around forever. Like, I represent godhood to all these people. Nothing scares me. Except for maybe Lift. That was one of the things that I think was a big reveal. I think something that Sanderson does well, like you were mentioning, is that this big, bad, terrible, evil, like representing weaknesses in the big boss is also realistically done. It's not just, oh, they exploited this Achilles heel. Like, oh, how crazy. Because sometimes they'll like reveal a weakness right at the beginning. You're like, well, that's how it's going to end. Like, that's the one weakness. Like the Achilles heel is a great example because like, from the beginning and that's how it ends. Like, that's how the story ends. But I think he does a good job of creating that realistic weakness.
Oh yeah, love that. There's another part in the book too where they imply like certain weaknesses and they just don't work. Oh, it's not a weakness; it's imply certain ends. So when I first read this book, I thought for sure that R'lain was going to end up bonding the sibling by the end. Yeah. And like even before the sibling even mentioned him and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, R'lain's not bonding a friend," and then all of a sudden the sibling comes around and like, I'm not gonna bond a human and stuff. I'm like, clearly. But like, what's cool about Sanderson is he takes those obvious connections that people can make, even though it didn't feel obvious, feels like something that you could grab and be like, oh, this is a good theory, this is what's gonna happen. Then you think about it, like, that's kind of obvious, but then he still doesn't even go that direction and says like, we're gonna bond Navani anyways, which I will also say is one of the coolest parts of the book as well.
It is very, very high on my list because it almost feels like a mistake. Yes. You just like, it happened because it had to happen because that was the exact moment when something had to change or everyone was going to die. And you're like, oh man, like she settled in her bond. Like this is such a strong thing, like a second bondsmith. And how could they let that happen on accident, basically? Yep. So like it's really cool.
It's super cool. And it's so exciting too because we are now guaranteed to learn more about bondsmiths because we have 2 of them now.
And we know that there needs to be a 3rd one.
Do you think they're...
They've already given us that spoiler.
Yes, you're right. Well, the book has implied it, right?
No,
like, implied that there can be 3.
That there will be 3.
What do you mean?
That's literally like Kaladin's whole mission at this point is to get to anyway. So the Herald, who is basically the bondsmith unchained, is what they refer to him like. That is, he mentions in his moment of lucidity, because a new bondsmith was created. Ishar. He mentions to Dalinar, hey, you need to create a new bond, and that's when I'm lucid. Like, that's my one opportunity to, like, come back to mental
But he
clarity.
Won't be the 3rd bondsmith.
I didn't say he would. So there needs to become a 3rd bondsmith, because in that moment is when Dalinar is going to get the training he needs from Ishar. That's basically what they alluded to.
Is that what they said? You need a 3rd bondsmith to make Ishar better? Is that what you're implying?
He won't make him better. It just makes him lucid for a moment.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yep. Okay. He said when a new bond was created with Navani, that's when he said that to Dalinar. He said, I recognize that I'm back for a second, probably because a new bond was created.
Oh, man, I totally missed that.
Oh, yeah. I was like, that's happening.
I know.
So he basically said, come find me. And he said, when you find me, hopefully if a new bond is created, that's a moment when I can come back to reality and help.
And they're going to have to bond with the Night Watcher? Is that, that the last one?
The last one.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. And the fact that there's different lights now that we've learned about with the tower light, it's just cool.
Man, we're going to have to theorize on who that third bond slip is going to be.
We might have to do a whole video on theorizing for Stormlight 5.
Well, yeah, have to. So.
But that was cool. That was another cool moment. I think it was cool to see the Herald fighting because it was just like so easy. Like he just dealt with, I think, what was it, 4 or 5 radiants. Okay. No big deal.
I will say that this is the most terrifying part of the book. Possibly one of the more terrifying parts of like all the whole series.
Bondsmith Unchained.
Yes, it's horrifying. The whole thing. Okay, like not to mention the whole like murderer, like serial killer, like pulling apart bodies at the end. Like that's freaky.
That was horrifying.
That is horrifying. But first of all, like we've been waiting literally books to find out what a bondsmith does, and then all of a sudden in a minute we're about to lose Dalinar. I'm like, you're going to kill off Dalinar before we even learn anything about a bondsmith?
Is unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
It's basically what we learn about that is that he can do pretty much whatever he wants.
I know. It's
It's
unbelievable.
terrifying.
I know. And he nearly kills Dalinar for it.
Yeah, he just takes his bond. And like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, so scary. When I was reading that part.
Like, I'm going to take that from you. Thanks.
I remember the first time reading that, I was like, it's over. Like, he's going to lose his bond. This is something that Sanderson would do to put you in despair. It's his MO. Like, it's his thing. And then, anyways, to be saved by Szeth, which is awesome. With the sword. The sword is just extremely handy.
Everybody loves the sword.
Everybody loves the sword. But he...
we have one. Nightblood.
Nightblood, the sword.
Recent addition to the shelf.
Love it.
Anyway.
Love it. But then they go into the tent. And they're experimenting on the Spren.
So let me just clarify what I think happened. So he's creating these bodies and then trying to attach a Spren to the body. And that's why he's saying like how long they last. Or is he somehow like pulling them into the realm, physical realm?
I thought that he was pulling them in and they were dying once they were there. I don't know. The Stormfather was pretty bugged. And
yeah, he's like, get out of here now.
You gotta get out of here.
Something is so wrong.
This is messed up. Yeah, so this guy is basically...
Does he want to get off-world too? Or is that just
Ishar?
The high judge of lasting integrity?
Yeah.
He wants to leave. He just wants to leave. That's all he cares about. The high judge guy.
Yeah. Ishar, I think he sees himself as like an Adolin type figure. Like, as like that
he
kind
sees
of
himself
power.
as Honor's champion, for sure.
Yeah, he does. But like he mentions Adolin. He's like, like I have like pretty much the power of Adolin is what he's mentioning.
Because he can bond anything he
wants. Because he's unchained. He is the most powerful being like that.
And it's terrifying that he's insane.
Probably in the Cosmere. Which is
I'm curious what his end will look like. That's another part for the theorizing of book 5. Because we got to figure out like, how do you wrap that story? Because he's not going to just become sane. So does he die somehow? Is he killed?
So they implied that he might be able to become sane. So they said that Kaladin's job, assuming in the next book, is going to be to try and bring Ishar back to sanity. And they said, can I really do that in a week before the champions battle?
Yeah, seriously.
And he's like, it seems like it's not like a natural thing. It kind of seems like a magical type thing. And so if it's magical, you could probably just snap out of it faster. Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it's
that'll
crazy.
Be a fun one for the theorizing video.
Well, that kind of also connects then to the Taravangian reveal.
Oh man.
Okay, when I think of this book, this is the part I think about every single time.
So, me too, 100%.
Yeah. So I want to start with all the scenes with Taravangian. It is beyond stressful to see him go through his conversations with Szeth being dumb. Like the whole time I'm like, don't screw it up. Like,
because like this has to work out perfectly.
Yeah, and he understands that, and so he talks about, it's like, I'm so dumb right now, I can't explain what I'm thinking, and then Zeth is just talking fast and he's angry and stuff, and he's like, oh, he's ruining it, like he's not gonna be able to like help out, and like it's just crazy how they put you in that situation where you're cheering for Taravangian even though he's betrayed everyone, and
he betrays us again.
Yeah, with
right at the end when he takes over for I keep always is it Reyes?
Yeah, Reyes.
Really confusing that Braze and Reyes are so similar.
True.
He takes over for Reyes with the whole amazing draws night blood, kills Reyes, all that crazy stuff.
First of all, we have to talk about that. Is that not the most shocking turn of events you have ever read? Like,
it's pretty shocking.
It is not only shocking, it is terrifying. Okay? There is a quote from the beginning of one of the chapters, and since I knew the end in this book, I knew to pull this forward.
Okay.
This isn't like part 1 or 2 or something like that, but I can't remember who it's quoting. Oh, I think it's Raboniel. She said, "In truth, it would be a combination of the vessel's craftiness and the power's intent that we should fear most."
Oh yes.
And so it kind of like mentions that offhandedly, and I think it's in an intro. It says that.
Yeah. I also remember this from a Captured in Words video that I saw a little while back. He did a bunch of deep dives.
Oh yeah,
and he like specifically mentions that too.
And that is the most terrifying phrase ever, because they imply
crafty vessel and the power of the shard.
Because they imply that Reyes was an idiot. Like when he took the power from Odium, he was an idiot, but he was a god, and so he was able to have all this power and be super powerful, and no one's able to stop him. But if you have someone who's extremely crafty, like the most crafty you could be, because he's Taravangian and has like natural craftiness, and then having the power's intent that is the most dangerous of the 16.
Yeah.
Like Taravangian, and like this is the scariest thing that could happen. It is crazy
It's
stuff.
scary. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then his interaction with Wit is something I want to talk about at the end too.
Yeah.
Because it just blows my mind.
I just thought that was nuts.
We have a lot coming in
I
Wind
just
and Truth.
Can't wait for that reveal of Taravangian with Dalinar. I want for that moment when Dalinar realizes that Taravangian. But
he's not going to realize it.
He's going to at some point.
How would he know?
I kind of just.
Odium doesn't look like the vessel looks necessarily.
I know, but you know it's going to happen. He's going to find out. Like, he's not going to just go on forever.
I don't know anything with Sanderson, I'll be honest. Maybe.
It's a good reveal. It's a cool reveal to find out, like, holy crap, it's Taravangian is now Odium. How, like, that's going to be a cool moment. I promise you that's going to happen in the next book. It just makes sense.
Yeah. There's some wild stuff that could happen in the next book, for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one of them. Obviously, Odium being now even more terrifying than he was before.
So crazy. So crazy.
We haven't even talked about the two things I wanted to talk about specifically are lasting integrity, which is a big one, and then just Kaladin's story. I didn't talk about him at all.
Yeah, let's.
Where do you want to go first? Okay, so lasting integrity then becomes our next topic, and stick around if you want to hear about Kaladin too.
Of course you do.
So this is a crazy story for me too, because you have like the plot, which is Adolin and the trial, and then you have the subplot, which is Shallan and the murder.
Yes.
So the Ghost Bloods and her ability, like she combines with the Veil and learns that she killed her Spren.
Oh yeah, huge.
It wasn't Pattern. It was a different Spren that she killed.
Did you remember that when she first met the Spren or when Adolin met that Spren in the market? Did you remember that?
I remembered it in the trial when they saw when it was there. I'm like, oh, now I remember.
That's a crazy reveal
it's a crazy part because they're like this one Deadeye cryptic. You're like, that's crazy because they don't see a lot of Deadeye cryptics, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was her Spren and she broke the bond and killed it.
Yes. Nuts. And that's why she felt so awful and did not want to like say the next truth and for her to get the her bond or next step in the radiant bonds.
The ideals.
Ideal. Yes. Reach the next ideal. I thought that was crazy. And I think that the whole trial was really well put together. How did you feel about the trial? What was your experience?
I thought there was enough like weird about it that I was interested. Like it could have been a super boring part of the book.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job of being like, oh, and like his his trainer now is testifying against him, like all this stuff. He has a chance to speak. I thought it was kind of cool. I also liked that the high judge was kind of just whatever.
I know. I thought that was
it just
hilarious.
seemed funny. It's just like, yeah, okay. I mean, I get it.
like, sure. Like, okay, that's enough. like, stop that.
Yeah, he does, I think, a pretty good job as the high judge.
Yep.
He's like, nope, you can't speak anymore. Like, you gave it away. You can't speak. But then he asks a question. He's like, hey, you have to deal with it now. You got to close it up.
Oh,
because
totally.
I think all that's kind of funny. He does a pretty good job of it.
They do. They make the whole situation so intense, and they do a really good job at making it intense. And you don't know what's going to happen. How's it going to happen? Then especially the reveal with Maya and her moment where she said that they chose to give up their bond, which is another shocking moment in the book.
That they worked together. It was a decision they made together. I think as that happens, they also mentioned that they learned her name. Like, her name is actually Maya. Like, we looked up in the records. Like, we'd look way far back, but you were right on what her name is. Like, that was a curious thing to find.
Yes.
Like, wild that they didn't bring that up at all. Like, man, this trial was a sham. But it was just crazy. Like, yeah, we looked, and apparently, that's her name.
Oh, so cool. And it totally seems like Adolin is bonding a Deadeye.
Or bringing a Deadeye back to life, back to sentience. Because we know breaking a radiant bond doesn't always kill the Spren. Because of Syl.
Her bond wasn't broken. I was thinking about this. Yeah, I was thought about this too earlier.
What?
But her radiant just died.
Yeah, and that didn't kill all the...
Oh, no, it doesn't kill you if your radiant dies. It just makes it so that you go into despair, but you have to bond anew.
Interesting.
So that's what because that happens when all the Windrunners, when they've been dying in the past, and they just bond anew.
A new Windrunner?
Windrunner.
Huh. Okay, that's good to know. But there is a chance that he is almost kind of healing a Deadeye, which I like to think is happening.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Because that makes Shallan feel a lot better that there's hope for her other Spren, previous Spren.
What's interesting to me about this is it seems like there's new types of powers being introduced. Yeah. So now we have Spren who have been corrupted by Ja and Not, which are giving new powers to Radiants when they bond those Spren. But now I'm wondering, are we going to get a whole new category from people who are bonded to Deadeye Spren and see, like, did they have even different powers than normal Radiants?
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'd be super fascinating to find out what that
turns
out to be.
Do you think either the Ghostbloods or someone else is going to find Baido Mishram and release her?
With the Deadeye talk? I don't know. I mean,
because that could make a big difference in the storyline. Obviously, because Baido Mishram, or Mishram, whatever they call her, is like a huge impact on the world, right? Because she controlled the listeners, right? She's the one that took their minds, basically. Or she's the reason their minds were taken, because she controlled their minds, and then when they captured her, the minds of the listeners kind of just went with her, basically.
Yeah.
I just think there's so many like little Easter egg that aren't answered at all. Like, that's what I was paying more attention to on this reread, I think, knowing that Wind and Truth was so close.
Yeah. And that's what makes me most excited about reading Wind and Truth, because there are a lot of answers to be had that I'm hoping he.
And your prediction is always that he's going to wrap him up in the first like chapter or two.
Oh yeah, I wrote this down. Okay,
you've told me that many times.
Yes. Well, about this book specifically.
About book 5, that book 5 is going to wrap up all these questions in the first.
Well,
couple
not
chapters.
all of them. I was more saying I think that the story of the champion, I think that's going to be taken care of within the first half of the book. I think that does not. He will not linger on that.
So is the musings of El on the first of the final 10 days? Is that these 10 days?
I don't know, dude. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I have no idea. But did you catch that? While we're talking about El, El is the he who quiets, the person who has taken the name. So there's the pursuer at the end. He's talking to El.
He's talking to El.
Yes,
the evil El.
Yes, and so now Vyre has taken, or I guess his name is Moash. Moash has taken El's name, which used to be Vyre.
But he doesn't go by Moash anymore. He definitely goes by Vyre.
Yeah.
But he's been named He Who Quiets by Odium?
Yes. Vyre means he who quiets.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How come some of the names come with little monikers like Vyre and some of the names don't? Like when Navani got a title, she didn't get a fun moniker name to go with it.
Well, it's because I think it's like the translation. So it's the Vyre means he who quiets. It's the
I guess that makes more sense. Like,
definition.
here's your name. Okay. So now L is the evil L.
Yep.
That we don't know anything about except for like a tiny little addendum at the end of the book, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, that he's excited to lead the Human Legion.
Just terrifying. I just feel like everything about that interaction. He was like, "Oh, we brought you back. Yeah, I brought you back because I wanted to basically kill you."
Well, man, it's just so crazy because it all leads back to the Taravangian thing. Is that So cultivation seems to think like, I'm going to teach you how to bear your power with honor, is like what she says. Yeah. And then Taravangian says that he's going to save them all. Like he's trying to save everyone on Roshar, but that doesn't mean.
But he also basically says, in his mind, cultivation, you have no idea what you did.
Yes, and that's the scary
I
part
don't
of it.
like.
I don't like that either. Like you don't know what you've done, but it kind of seems like he's implying that he's going to save Roshar, but still like take out the rest of the Cosmere. Like. What Odium
I don't
was
know
trying
what
to do.
it seems so scary.
It's all setting up for a battle between plant worlds. That's clearly where this is all going.
And he wants Dalinar as his champion for that battle because, to be honest, I still think Dalinar is the unbeatable warrior.
Even except more than Kaladin.
Literally about to say that. Yeah. Except for the fact that one of my favorite moments, that if this does not become number one in our thing, I will have a problem with it. One of my absolute favorite moments is when Moash is like, nobody touch him. If anyone messes with him, he will be unbeatable. Yeah. And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? He's on his knees. Like, do not touch him. He will destroy you. He is unbeatable. And he's like really hammering this home. Yeah, Moash is like, look, I'm the strongest one here. I have the honor blade. And I'm telling you, none of you can beat that guy. Not one. And I think that's the best moment because he's literally like his mortal enemy. And he's basically saying, look, guys, he's unbeatable. Yes. Unless you let him tear himself down mentally, you are never going to beat him in a fight. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And
he is the storm.
He is. And like the moment that happens right there where the pursuer's like, I'm just going to take him out, basically. And then Kaladin's like not even thinking, and he just absolutely laces him.
Yeah, just rips him apart.
Yeah,
literally rips him apart.
He tears him apart.
Catch this part like I think the first time I read it, I was just so shocked by all the events that were happening and how exciting it was that I didn't catch like all the details of the stuff. He literally pins him to a wall and rips his head off.
Yeah, it's insane. But it's also the fact that even before that, he was moving so fast that people could barely keep an eye on the fight. It was just completely invincible.
It's crazy. Did that moment where he pins him to the wall and like rips his head off, does that not remind you of the Vin moment where
she just goes nuts
and she explodes the guy's head that's like holding her? Just like,
yeah. Anyways, crazy.
Sanderson's very good at using his magic systems in very creative ways that you would not have thought of. And like,
and that's also one of those like walk away moments that he still doesn't feel anything. Like you can see it in the movie basically, where you see him just walk away as like his head rips off. He's just walking away like, I don't want to be here. Like I don't like anything.
Absolutely
I don't like anyone.
Nuts.
That's when the guys were like, okay, don't touch this guy.
Yeah, seriously.
You could go wherever you want to go.
Leshmi's trying to talk to him, saying, hey man, like I understand you're grieving and everything, just trying to be cool. He's like, pushes past her, like, don't touch me.
He was like, don't mess with that guy.
Yeah.
And you can see Moash or Vi probably just like, oh, that was our only chance.
Yeah, I know. But he wasn't even there at the moment because he was trying to
his reaction would probably be something like that.
Yeah. And then
that was great. I love that part.
I know. And that's because Moash was dealing with Navani at the time, which is also crazy because Moash gets completely like blinded by the actions that Navani takes. She bonds her spren, light shines, and he's going nuts, and he's running away from the tower, and then he wakes up and he's blind now. Like, how is this story even going to go? What do you think about Moash? I know this is a little theorizing, but it's kind of fun to throw some of that in here anyways. Like, after reading this again, is Moash going to have a redemption arc?
Yes.
I was thinking that more this time.
I think his
which is the
and this is a little bit more prediction theorizing. I think his redemption arc will look more like an Ultimate Sacrifice style, where it's like a final thing that he can do to really make a difference in a good way, instead of like becoming a good person and now he's great,
like Darth Vader throwing the Emperor down the tube.
Similar to that, like a final act of almost penance, but not quite. But you're like, at least his legacy isn't horrible. At least he did something to move the good guys to the end. I think it's gonna look something like that, like a final sacrifice style penance.
Yeah, he had gotten to such a dark spot. I'm like, I don't really see Sanderson continuing.
You can't just write him into a nice, happy.
With that
at this point you can't.
Or
he has
making
no
him
feeling.
Go more and more evil because that story's already been done. Like,
yeah, and I do think it's interesting because he's already starting to turn on his beliefs because he's like, my pain is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still feel that pain, and I think that's something that he's starting to realize, and eventually he will be like, okay, I can't survive this, but there's one last sacrifice that I can do that makes a difference. Give his life basically for the cause.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and he kills Teft. And with Fenderana, the whole sand thing. That probably stuck out to you this time.
Way better now that I've read more of the Cosmere stuff. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, where did they get it?
You're like, yeah, holy cow. Oh, is that what the Ghostblood guy gives to her?
I don't think so, because Navani had it, and she got it from the parchment. She got it from Raboniel.
Yeah, is that Raboniel gets something from... why am I blanking on that guy's name? Moraes. Yeah, he gets something from...
When was this?
Remember in the part when Moraes delivers Lift to Raboniel?
Oh.
And he's like, I gave you like another gift from like off-world or something like that.
Wow. I mean, I totally missed that, but it could have been.
Yeah, it totally could have been that.
But I don't... The way that Raboniel describes it to Navani makes it sound like it's something that they use.
Yeah, that is
pretty
also
normally.
True
She seemed like she got it pretty... She knew it already.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, we use this sand and it helps us understand like how intense investiture is.
Yeah.
And it just seemed normal to her. I don't think it would have been like that way if it had been something she had just received and it was this new novel crazy thing.
Yeah.
It seems like they've got a lot of it because Moash is just throwing it on the ground.
That's true.
You think of it, it's pretty valuable stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not very scarce. Well, okay, got to bring it back to Kaladin then.
Bringing it back.
So, Kaladin chasing after his dad.
Yes.
Dad gets tossed off the tower.
Yes.
Kaladin,
another big mistake.
Yeah, but he jumps off into the storm.
Yep.
Okay. So
big Dalinar moment.
This is a crazy moment, okay? So him jumping into the storm and Dalinar again, cool moment where he's telling the storm like, send me in.
Be better.
Like be better. Like save him.
I think this is the moment you were talking about last time we said he specifically says to the Stormfather, he's like, I don't change. Like, be better.
This is the second time he's told them that.
Is it the second time?
Yeah, he's told them that earlier in the book too.
Yeah, he's like, you can change and you need to change. Like, you can be better than this.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Well, I just thought that whole moment was the coolest moment of the book. Because like
he needs time. Give him time and he will figure it out.
Yes. And that whole moment where, okay, I was getting to work this morning when I got to the TN part.
Oh right my goodness.
I was like,
you get to work in tears?
No. I know. It was right at the very beginning. I was walking into work and I'm like, there's some things I can do like while I'm listening to the book. And I was getting to that part. I'm like, this is not happening. Like, I cannot listen to this part while doing work. I'm going to start bawling like in the middle of like work.
I was driving on a road trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, I took off my sunglasses to like get the glare in my eyes so that if someone saw me, they'd be like, oh, he's really bright. You know? That glare is really just getting me.
Really crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those moments.
It was one of those moments where he finally has acceptance that Tian's death was not his fault. And you know what? So other people's deaths are not always your fault. They have their own right to make their own choices.
That was such a huge one. He was like, it's not Kaladin. Kaladin had nothing to do with that. Like, that was Tian's sacrifice. And he's like, isn't it great that I was there to help them be brave? Yep. I'm like, what a moment, man. Like, what a moment. He's like, isn't it great that I was there because someone needed to help them be brave in that moment?
Yes.
I'm like, oh, he gave that sacrifice of himself.
Yep.
It wasn't, he was just this kid that needed to be saved and protected. He chose to be brave and he chose to help in a moment where he could impact his own destiny. I think that, I mean, obviously the ideal was a realization for Kaladin, but that part is just so awesome.
So awesome. So awesome. And then on top of it, to finish it off, another explosion of light.
And I did not realize how the shard plate really worked. It is spren. Each piece is a spren.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I don't know how I didn't know that.
You're going to run out of spren if too many people do the ideal.
Yeah, seriously. But I think one of the
hundreds of them, like for every little piece.
Yeah, but that means that you've basically got, what, 100 Deadeye for every set of shard plate?
Okay, yeah, I thought about that too. Like, how does that work? I kind of feel like it's not that way, though.
Because the Wind Spren
they're not dead eyes.
and the Honor Spren aren't the same in the cognitive realm.
No.
The Honor Spren walk around like people, whereas the Wind Spren are still like things.
Yeah, there's a reason why wearing shard plate isn't as bad as using a shard blade. I think I remember them.
And I think that's what it is. Like the fact that there's a delineation between a Spren that can think and a Spren that even in the cognitive realm is still just whimsical.
Yeah, wants to become a thing.
Yeah, because the Wind Spren, you don't talk to a Wind Spren in the cognitive realm, you talk to an Honor Spren. They manifest similarly in the real world, but I think that is the difference, maybe. Yeah. Which is still cool. I never knew that. And then you can move your shard plate around like crazy, which was cool. He's like sending his shard plate around to like save other people. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And the kid, I like kind of side story, but like the kid who just makes pottery.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He becomes a Windrunner for a moment.
Do you think that this kid, we're going to see him in later stories, is actually a Windrunner?
Yeah, he's going to be honors champion.
Yeah. Seriously, I bet, though, we do like side.
It will be a nice little fun conclusion to the loose end.
I don't think, I don't even think it's going to be loose end. I think it's going to be, if you remember, there's this like they'll just say Windrunner, this person.
They'll just mention his name.
And then you'll have to like remember,
yeah, I like that better.
That's what I think will happen with
It's just going to be his name, and when they talk about the people that go out, and you're like, oh, yep, he's a Windrunner now.
He made it. He did it.
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. Like you can see through it. You can make other people use your shard plate like for you, I guess. He was giving it to different...
Yeah. You can move it around. You can also just... It can shape however you need to, similar to the shard blades, right? It can be whatever you want. Whatever you need in that time. Like the same thing with the helmet. Like it can be see-through, it can be not, it can be all the different things.
Oh, yeah. So cool. And then it is amazing, too, with like... So I do want to mention why that this is the best Sanderlanch yet.
Okay.
So it's because it's the combination. You've got Navani at the pillar, Kaladin in the storm, Kaladin killing the pursuer, Dalinar in the storm, and Leshwi and Venli, like that moment where she reveals that she's a Radiant. And all of these scenes are jumping like back and forth during all those moments. It's just everything that he's been building for the entire book just came together so perfectly.
Just
it's
cascades
such a
down.
Good moment.
No, that is pretty amazing. I love that part with Leshwi where she's like, "What have you done? Ruined everything."
Yeah,
I think she's terrified. I don't know why. They don't really mention too much about why. But
I think it was more one of those things like, "Oh my gosh, like this happened," but she doesn't seem. She's not upset with it, though.
She seems pretty upset.
No. By the end, she
seems shocked. She's like, everything has changed because of this. I think they played it
like she was upset. But like you kind of realize that she's excited about it because she says that she's excited about it. She's like, I didn't know that they were bonding singers again. This is amazing. Like we need to be spreading this news.
Should be interesting.
And then she goes with Venli at the end to go live with the exiled listeners. Which
it will be an interesting.
Also, the exiled listeners now have the Chasm Fiends listening to them. I don't know. I missed that the first read around.
Yeah, the Chasm Fiends are like they're friends now.
This whole thing was such a whirlwind the first time that I read it. I missed so many details like that just happened like in a snap second. This is amazing.
Yeah, and we know that the Chasm Fiends and Rashadium and others are bonded.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. I'm like,
they're bonded to spread.
Now we're gonna have Chasm Fiends fighting the stone monsters and like.
Well, that'd help.
This is like Godzilla.
Godzilla, King of Monsters.
That's right.
That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's where we're going with this whole thing.
Exactly where it's going.
Yeah, it's basically Transformers now.
Transformers.
There's gonna be 95 movies in a row. Wow, I think that there are so many reveals that you're absolutely right. It's a powerful Sanderlanch. I just think there are a lot more loose ends than I would typically expect, knowing that Book 5 is coming out.
I'm totally fine with that. I think that it's okay.
I think I'm okay with it too.
Yeah.
Like as I was reading, I'm like, okay, I get it. But part of it is because I don't have to wait 6 months. I have to wait like 6 days.
I know, right?
And that makes a big difference.
Oh man, I cannot wait. Well, do we want to start going through our top 5 moments?
Let's do it. It's time. Top 5 for the entirety of Rhythm of War.
Okay, let's see. I realized I did not have the top 5 moments pulled up from last time. Here it is. Okay, top 5 moments. Number 1, we had Fight at the Well. Number 2,
which is good.
We had Yasna fighting in Shard Plate with soul casting. Super cool.
Still cool.
Adolin protecting the honor spren in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Dalinar in the storm talking with Kaladin. Man, that's like the same moment.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last time? That like this happens again. Yeah, that's cool. And Moash versus Kaladin, round 1.
What's funny is we're gonna do the same thing we did with every previous book, and basically replace the list with the Sanderlanch. Like, it just happens every time.
It just so
because we
good.
have like for like replacements of those. Like Yasna fighting in Shardplate compared to Kaladin swearing the 4th ideal. It's just like for like better.
I'm gonna say right now, Kaladin swearing the 4th ideal is the best moment in this book. Possibly the best moment out of the entire Stormlight Archive so far.
I don't know.
Really? It's incredible.
Oh, with the emotion you're talking about, his like realization and TN and all that stuff. Okay.
All of it. Him jumping off the edge and overcoming a major part of his depression. He does make it clear that he still needs to go through rehab and stuff like that still. But like this is a huge, huge moment.
I really, really, really wanted to have the first moment be his fight against the Pursuer. Knowing that he didn't have his powers and still being like, I am going to absolutely obliterate the most powerful fused. Or at least the angriest fused. And like, he just goes out and does it, knowing that he doesn't have his power. He's very weakened and he's just going to try and make it work. And he does. I just think that's so cool. It's one of those things.
Calling him the defeated
one.
Taunting him and saying like, I'll kill you over and over and over
it's
again.
Intense.
Like,
it's really intense. And Moash is involved and he's the one who's saying like, don't mess with him, leave him. I just think that whole thing is so cool.
Oh yeah, that Moash part is so cool.
It's just a powerful Kaladin moment. Okay. Maybe not as good as the 4th ideal because of like the TN, the emotion, and all that stuff. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, I for some reason any part where they're exploding with the ideal and like have the light going everywhere and they're getting their armor or their shard blade or whatever, that is just so cool to me. We can talk about. I think it's number 1.
Okay, well we can discuss. But there's a couple more.
Okay. We've got that one, Taravangian becoming Odium.
Can we include Wit and Odium in that?
Oh my goodness, we didn't even talk about that. Or the dog and the
dragon.
The dog and the dragon.
Yeah, I have that high on my list.
Pause for a minute. Dog and the Dragon is the best Wit story so far.
I think it absolutely.
Yeah.
The best story Wit has ever told.
Yes.
I love it. I love the moral, even though there isn't really one.
Yes, it's a hilarious story.
I love the fact that the way he tells it is basically saying it. And I didn't know this at the beginning, but design just really spoils it right at the end. Like, he doesn't. He doesn't become a dragon. Don't spoil the story.
Don't spoil stories. Man,
I love how Wit constantly is like, I bonded the worst spread.
Like, I bonded a monster. Like, it's so funny.
I love that interaction.
I love how he hates his friend. It's just so
The Dog and the Dragon is a fantastic story.
This is the story that makes me... Sanderson mentioned once that he wants to make a picture book of children's stories out of all these like Wit stories. This is the one that I want the absolute most. I want a picture book on my shelf of The Dog and the Dragon.
And it would be a great book. Honestly, most of Wit's stories I would like to be able to retell as to my kids. Yes. I think that would be so much fun. Cool. I think the stories are so good and they're like laced with morals that you probably might not get as like a 5-year-old like my son, but as they get older, maybe they'll hear the stories again and be like, "Oh, man, like that applies differently to different times in your life." Like The Dog and the Dragon could be a really powerful moment of realization because it's a real emotion that's very difficult to overcome. Yeah, and I think that's awesome.
I love it. I love it so much.
So we have it on the list as number 4.
Yep.
Because number 3 is still Taravangian because I want to talk about the Wit part.
Yes. Oh yeah. Let's talk about the Wit part.
So Taravangian becomes Odium. We know this. Becomes the vessel for Odium, and then meets with Wit, and he's like, "Oh, I saw your hand in the." They did this scene twice. It was really threw me. I'm like, did I skip back?
Yeah.
But he says, "Oh, I saw your hand in that." He's like, "Oh, is it because I wrote my name in it?" Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All the witty stuff. And then the crazy thing at the end, he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. All your memories are in these metal mines."
Yeah.
Like, maybe I can mess with that.
I thought he said metal mines the first time that I read it, but he says
he doesn't say that?
He says breaths
are
stored in these breaths. And so I'm like, it's got to be the same function as a metal mine. But yeah, I know, dude. I thought for sure the first time that I read it, it said metal mines, but now that I'm like...
Now I want to look. But what's the final thing, basically? So here's the question I have for you while you're looking it up. if we can do both.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I have is, does he actually lose memories, or is it just that moment he loses?
I wonder if he's destroyed old memories, like that. The memories
Because
that
he
were
said
stored
this wouldn't hurt you, so it doesn't go against their contract. But I feel like if you destroy significant memories from his past, that would hurt him.
Yeah.
Because he does all the same stuff at the beginning. After he's forgotten that, he still remembers the spren he was with. He still remembers the story he was telling. Like, that part doesn't go away. We just don't know what he brings, what he loses, basically. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I think I found it.
Okay. Does he say metal mines? What does he say here? Oh, man.
Okay. So it says, like the Odium, the power said, let me see. I cannot harm you, but here have used this other investiture to store your memories, haven't you? Because you've lived longer than a mortal should. You need to put the excess memories somewhere. I can't see in your mind, but can I see these?
So he doesn't say either, and we
for
both
the first
just
time
made
in
it
a
up?
long while, Wit felt true terror if Odium destroyed the breaths that held his memories.
Interesting.
Yes. So like I immediately assumed metal mines as well, but then like when I reread it, I'm like, oh, it's through breath. So it's got to function something similar to metal mines. But I mean, metal mines are just another form of investiture.
I mean, that's
So
that's what I considered when I thought about storing memories.
Yeah.
But like a copper mine, basically.
Yeah.
But man, that's crazy because we know Wit has gone around collecting power in different ways. But that's pretty wild.
This whole finish and conclusion to this book, the word of the day is terrifying. Because when you read this part, you read this part and you're like, did they just ruin Wit? Like, did he just ruin
break
Wit?
him?
Don't ruin Wit. He's our favorite character. He's freaking awesome.
Yeah, you know there are people that don't like Wit.
I know. We met someone who didn't like Wit the other day. Didn't think he was funny. I'm like, I think he's freaking hilarious. Like, I love Wit.
It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy people out there. Just kidding. We still love you.
We will definitely be at the Wit panel, I think.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
That would be great. It would be great. So okay. So
back to the list.
Do we have a fifth one? Are you saying
Wit? I had Dog and the Dragon, I had Wit and Odium, and I had Taravangian and Odium separately. So I don't know. Maybe they're different.
They are different.
Okay. But do you want to do...
This is where you realize that Taravangian is smarter than Reyes.
Well, do you want to add things like... I mean, we don't know that Taravangian is that much smarter than Reyes. He just is...
No, we know.
Right?
Well, that's what Wit is saying.
Over time, the shard corrupts the vessel.
No, that is
we
true.
already know this.
I think... Though that's kind of like what Wit implies.
Wit mentions that he was an idiot.
Yeah. Yes, Wit always mentions that he's an idiot. But like, and then the book implies that like, well, if you have someone who's smart, and then the like,
yeah, with that quote.
I think it's all implying that Reyes was dumb, and then that Taravangian's actually smart, and then Taravangian is actually saying things that are smarter and doing things that are smarter.
That's true, because he's being more contemplative instead of reacting to the world. Do you want to add anything about Navani? Like Navani bonding the sibling? I feel that's big.
It has to be in there. It has to be in there. Navani.
And I'm curious if you want to add anything about the Bondsmith Unchained, because that was kind of an intense moment, too.
Oh, my goodness, you're right. Bondsmith.
I'm full of them. I could keep going.
You really could, though. It's a nuts book.
I mean, Maya saying we chose, big moment.
Oh, goodness.
See?
You're going to get me. Wow.
This is why, for me, Wit and Odium and Taravangian becoming Odium probably deserve to be one thing. Just say Taravangian. Oh, because with Zeth and everything.
It's a very different moment.
Yes, but then I would put Wit and Odium lower. It's intense, but it's not bigger than these.
You're right. Okay. Man. And then Moash killing Teft.
Yeah. I consider that part of Kaladin's fight, kind of, because that's really all that same scene.
Okay, cool. Man, anything else?
There's no way any of our other 5 are getting into this list.
I know. They're not.
If I had to put it into a 5 from what you've got on your page right there, I would say Kaladin, the 4th ideal, would probably be first. And then second would probably be... Here, scroll down a little bit so I can see all of them. Oh, is that them? Right there?
Yeah, I just moved it.
Then I would say second, I'm going to say...
Okay, so wait, so number 1 is the 4th ideal?
4th ideal I do think is number 1. I can understand that.
I think.
I'm torn on the second one between Navani bonding the sibling and the pursuer fight with Kaladin / Moash and Teft.
I think the Taravangian moment becoming Odium
is bigger.
Feels like number 2 to me. For me at least, because I just think that is the most stressful moment because he's about to be killed by Zeth,
And as he's dying.
and he's dumb in the moment, but he has like the emotion that's right. Okay, we have to talk for a moment. Cultivation has done some crazy crap. Like she anticipated a whole ton of stuff's happening.
Yeah.
And to the point where like, I'm going to make him brilliant to combat Odium, but I'm also going to make him dumb enough that he's emotional enough to be able to take the power of Odium right when the moment is right.
Well, she's about growth. She did the same thing to Dalinar. She knew the best way to make him a better person in the future was to set him on this path.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's her thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, so cool. So I think that moment with Taravangian becoming Odium, I think is just so shocking and such a turning point. I don't know. I just love it.
Okay, so if we make that number 2, then the Pursuer fight or Navani bonding the sibling, what becomes number 3?
So the number 3... would probably the Pursuer fight's really good.
I really like it because it's such a powerful moment. And then we can put Navani, and then we can put the Bondsmith Unchained, and then we can put Wit and Odium, then Dog and the Dragon, then we can put Moash.
Yeah, seriously, just go more than 5. Feels like we need to. Navani and the sibling.
I would say Bondsmith Unchained was crazy enough to me. It's like he can do anything.
That was so scary.
And then I would say,
oh, man,
either Maya or Dog and the Dragon.
I'd probably have to go with Maya on this one.
Okay, and then next should probably be Wit and Odium, higher than Dog and the Dragon. And then Dog and the Dragon.
I kind of like Dog and Dragon better than
really.
Wit and
Yeah.
Oh man, where do you put Moash killing Teft? Does it make it top moment for you? It's so heart wrenching.
Probably not.
Okay,
we've already got 9.
Awful. Yeah, we're supposed to only have 5, and we're like at 8.
No, we let ourselves go. I think to
10 on the last one.
I think it's 8.
Why did we do 8? That's such a random number.
Do we want to do 10? Okay, well, let's pull 2 from these last ones.
Okay, cool. We got it in there.
We can do 10. Yeah, we make the rules here.
That would be great. Yeah. So that would also include either the fight at the well. Yes. We just move these from the top 2.
We
down
probably
to the bottom.
should because we already had this discussion.
Yeah. Oh wait, I don't want to do that. I want to save this. Okay, cool. Yeah. So fight at the well, and then Yasna fighting a shard plate with soul casting.
Well, there you go. That makes 10.
Boom.
As usual, for everyone watching this video,
so we got to recap what these are.
Well, I'm saying as we do this, as usual with this video, comment below what you think the top moments of parts 4 and 5 include. I mean, all of Rhythm of War. Like, tell us what you think the best moments are. We want to hear those because there's a chance, slim, that we missed something in this reaction video. So let us know. Let us know in the comments what you think about these ones, but also what you would add to it.
Yep. So number 1, Kaladin swearing the 4th ideal. Number 2, Taravangian becomes Odium. Number 3, the Pursuer fight and Kaladin fights back. Number 4, Navani bonding the sibling. Number 5, the Bondsmith Unchained.
Still terrifying. It's just wild.
So scary.
This whole being is just... Ugh.
Number 6, Maya saying that we chose. Number 7, the Dog and the Dragon. Number 8, Wit and Odium exchange. Also talking about how storytelling is essentially cheating. Remember how I quoted that the other day?
Oh, yeah.
Great quote. Number 9, fight at the well. And number 10, Yasna fighting in shard plate with soul casting. Very, very cool.
Still very cool. It's a good book.
It's so good. What would you give this book for rating?
It's a big moment. Okay. I think Rhythm of War, for me, gets a 9.4.
A 9.4.
Which is very high for me.
Yeah.
If you're playing along at home.
What did you rate the other books?
I think I have one as a 9.8, and then I have a 9.7 and a 9.3-ish for 9.2.
Okay.
Anyway.
So better than Oathbringer.
I don't know if Oathbringer was my lowest.
Well, one of them is 9.2. So it's better. It's not the worst book.
No, it's not the worst of the 4. If I can remember.
I know, but
we need
it's
to
funny
publish
to say it
these
that
somewhere.
way because then you
I hate saying it that way.
Yeah, because
I hate that.
Yeah.
So 9.4. The reason for my 9.4 is that I think something that brought it into the 9s is the scale and the fact that there's so many complicated storylines that all resolve so well. It's already a 9 book. Okay, what brings it up past like a 9.1, 9.2 for me is the fact that I also have a better connection to like the actual bad people in the book. Like you feel more for Odium, you feel more for Taravangian, you feel more for the Parshendi and the Fuse. You get those storylines and you like really like them. I think I have it as a 9.4. I don't have it much higher than that. There could be an argument made for like a 9.5 or 9.6. The reason I have it that way is I do feel like some parts, especially nearer the beginning of the book, were a little longer for me. I had a harder time with the reread. I've mentioned this ad nauseum at the beginning of the first 2 videos, so check those out. That is what keeps it from like a 9.6 for me.
Yeah. For me, this book is a 9.9.
Nice.
I was between a 9.8, 9.9. I'm doing decimals, but I'm
proud of you for coming back to decimals, by the way. Welcome
you know
to the
Depends
club.
on the day, okay? But I've got the only thing that keeps this back from... Okay, great book. 9.9. What brings it to a 9.9 is that this book, full of emotion, full of storyline, full of character building, is full of... that some people do not like Kaladin's story of the depression storyline and everything. I love it. I think
fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it when you're hearing people who are in their own head trying to overcome their own issues and their own problems. I think it's amazing. Even the Shallan part gets a little bit better by the end. What brings it down for me to perfect 10 is the listener stories here and there. And on the second read, like, it probably would have been knocked down even more.
They were even longer.
Like, yeah, the first time I read it, but the second time I read it, I liked them a little bit better, so it brings it back up. And then also there's some parts of the Shallan parts that kind of like bothered me with their like personalities going back and forth. But it's nice that it feels like it has a resolution coming for it.
9.9.
So 9.9. This book, I finished it and I'm like, this is incredible. I really, really like it. I have a hard time because for me, my favorite book of the series is still Words of Radiance. But the second book, it is so neck and neck between this book and The Way of Kings. I think I still give the edge to Way of Kings because it's the first book and it's such a great introduction to the series. Oathbringer, clearly last. I like the book and everything, but it's not close to the other books in my mind.
So many interesting things happen in it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Crazy.
cool. It's cool. A fantastic finish to a fantastic series that we've rated so incredibly highly. I definitely invite you, if you haven't already seen the previous reaction videos we did, we're probably going to be releasing a big, massive compilation of all of them. So check that out too if you feel like it. If you want to get prepped for Wind and Truth, this is obviously the best way to do it. So leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed anything from this video and want to comment on it, we would love to read and respond to those comments. So check those out. But with that, we will see you in the next chapter.